Sage Wanderer here, and welcome to Ivil Say Orway Update on the Road. So apologize for the video quality, but I wanted to capture this thought while I was thinking about it. So I was recently on a platform in the comment section, and I heard someone pipe off with the old tired tale that the Second Amendment is worthless, and that it's not something that would be useful to protect against a tyrannical government takeover because they have the big guns, they have the weapons. Well, it's like Ivil said, if you're going to try to stand up to the government, you're going to have some F-16s. And in previous videos, I said, what makes Biden think we don't have the keys? And of course, people pop off with, there's no keys to F-16s. What I'm saying is, this argument that we can't defend our country against a tyrannical takeover from a corrupt government, that's disinformation. For one thing, what makes you think that the military is going to side with the tyrants? What makes you think the military won't split? What makes you think that we won't get an equal share of the toys, right? But take that whole argument and put it aside. Because anyone who believes that a small insurgency can be defeated by overwhelming force and firepower is not a student of history, and you just straight up don't get it. Like, you don't know what you're talking about. You're historically inaccurate by making these statements that the grassroots insurgency in any country can't stand up against a tyrannical military that tries to suppress them. In fact, it's proven down through history that the indigenous or native insurgency always wins against the invaders. The insurgency in the United States against the British, they always win. We won against the British in the 1776 to 1789 war that founded this country. In Afghanistan, the Soviet Union failed to take over and occupy that country and were ran out with their tail between their legs in Afghanistan before the U.S. ever stepped foot into place. So the Soviets lost to Afghanistan before the U.S. lost to Afghanistan. And yes, can they tear a country all to pieces and bring it to its knees? Absolutely. That's what that kind of thing does. That's why most of us are trying desperately to avoid it. However, this belief that there is no hope, this belief that the big guns will overcome the masses with pea shooters is absolutely historically incorrect and ignorant. Another thing that's going around is, and plus, if they go to raiding people's homes, they'll just be able to come in there because they know every last place where you hide. They know all your floor plan. They can see inside your house. They have all this technology. They have all these drones. Okay, here's the thing about home invasions. That's what I'm going to call these, home invasions, not raids. They do it the same way every time. This is the problem with taking these civilian house clearing methods and trying to use them against an insurgency. Because we're not stupid. We're not drug dealers sitting around on our butts using our own product and not seeing it coming when they go knocking on the door. I have a contingency plan, don't you? And it's based around what these people do all the time. They're predictable. These home invasion raids are predictable. Furthermore, these agencies post their training videos online for guys like me to sit around and soak up all day. So I know how to present people like that with their worst nightmare. I know how to see the holes they have in their plan, and you would too. In the event of some kind of emergency, these methods would have to be changed. So the home raids aren't going to work. All they're going to produce is a lot of mayhem and destruction on both sides. And to say that millions of armed Americans stand no chance against an invader or a tyrannical government who has higher firepower and technology is just ignorant. It's ignorant to say that. You're ignorant of history. You're ignorant of how it goes down. Feel free to post anything in there that you can find where an invading force or a tyrannical government was able to suppress an armed uprising. That's why they got to disarm you first through civilian methods, which they've failed to do in this country, and they're going to fail if they continue to try. They're just going to fail in a greater way. So anytime an insurgency didn't succeed, against a tyrannical government or an invading force. The only time that is just when they don't have any arms at all. And I can only think of a couple of places where that occurred. The Soviet Union in the Bolshevik Revolution, they took over the government and then used the government to control and suppress the people. But they did it first by appearing as heroes, right? As the taking down of the royal family, right, and taking over government buildings. Then they seized all the government weapons, and then the people were more or less behind them until they weren't, and by then it was too late because they'd given up their personal arms. So the Second Amendment is not obsolete. The Second Amendment is now, and what it always was, a deterrent to tyrants who think they can suppress the people. And if you think that this is a losing battle to stand up for our rights and defend the Second Amendment and defend our government and our Constitution and our way of life, if you think it's a lost cause, well, you're black-pilled beyond help. And really, why don't you just go off and live by yourself in the woods and just be a non-player in all this and actually just shut the heck up, because you're talking out your you-know-what and you don't know what you're talking about. Native insurgencies always win. Show me one time when they didn't. When it's just a straight up takeover and the people rebel, they always win. They always win. Even the communists win against tyrannical dictatorships. Free thinking, free fighting, freedom loving people have never been defeated. They've stood up and quelled tyranny over and over and over again, and they did it with a lot less firepower and technology that we now possess. And to assume that the tyrannical government in question, whatever they might be, would have a technological advancement over the people shows me that you don't understand how that works. Because their technology becomes your technology. Their weapons become your weapons. Their tanks become your tanks. This is what happens. I mean, haven't you seen Red Dawn? Yeah, they all end up getting killed in the end of that movie, but the bottom line is they did serious damage to and serious destruction to this invading force in that movie, and that movie was written from a very historical perspective. You know, groups of insurgents do get wiped out. Groups of leaders do get wiped out. They do get drone strike. They do get blown up. But the bottom line is there's 10 more standing behind them to wait to take their place, to step up the food chain and take their place, because they have almost an endless supply of one of the most important elements of any battle. Manpower. Boots on the ground. Sheer numbers alone will ensure that this tyrannical government ran by stooges like Milley don't stand a chance. If you poke the bear will eat you. And that's what could happen in the near future if this tyranny and treason that's happening at the high levels of our government is not stopped. So, at the risk of getting a strike, I'm laying it out like it is. The bottom line is they don't stand a chance in winning. We have all the advantages because we have millions and they have hundreds of thousands. You understand? That sheer numbers alone. Forget about the training, the stockpiling, and the military background and training of most of the people they'll be going up against. They'll be going up against their own veterans. No, it's a lose-lose situation for everybody if we go to fight, right? But to think we can't win is ludicrous, because historically, the cur dog can whip the fighting pit bull if the cur dog is fighting in his own yard. That's a Dog the Bounty Hunter saying. He got it from the old men too, have said this for a long time, that cur mutt can whoop any dog in his own yard because he's defending his own territory. And so if this fight happens and it comes against the people have the advantage from the power of their will. They have the divine inspiration of God and the history behind us. You know, the history tells us that the insurgents always win. We do have the Second Amendment. It is not a lost cause. And when you find these jokers saying that stuff, shout them down and call them ignorant, because they don't know history. History states that you win if you fight, and the only way you lose is when you roll over against tyranny and let them have their way with you. But if you stand up and fight, you always win. This is the way it's been for as long as history is recorded. And so, once again, to quote a famous person who shall remain nameless. Resistance to tyranny is obedience to God. God bless our new republic, because this one's shot.